Money is a product or token that is accepted legally and societally as a means of exchange for the payment of goods and services as well as the settlement of debts. Money acts as a standard of value for comparing the relative worth of various services and items, as well as a store of value. Money has four main purposes. It's a store of value, a unit of account, a standard for postponed payments, and a medium of exchange. Money is employed as a means of exchange to get over the drawbacks of barter commerce. Money acts as a store of value because its value holds up over time. Money is typically recognized as a standard for postponed payment as a way to settle upcoming accounts. Finally, prices are expressed and records are preserved in terms of money as a unit of account, while debt is anything that one person owes another. Debt might be in the form of real estate, money, services, or other compensation. Debt is more precisely defined in finance as money raised via the issuing of bonds. A loan is a type of debt, but it's also an arrangement in which one person loans money to another. Hello, and welcome to Stealth Wealth, where I provide striving individuals like you with financial guidance. So get ready for some knowledge bombs to be dropped on you. In the 1800s America, the majority of individuals struggled to obtain financial security, and some even lived on the verge of disaster. When borrowers didn't pay back their debts, they were sent to poorhouses or debtors' jail unless fraternal groups helped. Paper bills of exchange or private banknotes served as the primary medium of exchange for money. Few had access to real currency. Instead, others relied on household possessions like cutlery. Some people traded. Banks mostly catered to rich people and corporations. It may be observed in the prehistoric communities of Egypt, China, India, Sumer, and other cultures. Before Mesopotamian civilization took off, much of life was an individual or tribal activity. The survival of the fittest was crucial to the hunter-gatherer way of life. People who never understand that collaborating may reduce their losses and promote their growth by bringing together several teams of individuals with a range of skills and qualities. We may still observe this specialization in our culture now, since humanity was able to leave the solitude and boredom of prehistoric times behind, both in industrial and service sectors. Every link in the chain completes a specific duty that aids in the process as a whole. For the Mesopotamians, natives or inhabitants of the ancient southwestern Asian region of Mesopotamia who were in charge of building the world's earliest cities, this was a crucial insight. The anticipated use of these items, not some random assignment, was what revealed the value of goods. People used to regard food like salt, rice, or other commodities for a very long time. This method of trading was known as the barter system. This made it possible for agriculture, which has been a primary profession since the Neolithic era or the New Stone Age, to interact with trade. The barter system gained some notoriety. For starters, there wasn't an established system for pricing products. Thus, even the most basic tasks required considerable effort. For as long as it existed, the barter system was a workable system. It's difficult to pinpoint the exact time when people began utilizing monetary systems because there aren't any old documents. They're difficult to comprehend because some of the old economic systems predate writing systems. For instance, we can locate examples of recorded lectures for the era when we know there was a monetary system in place, which was about 500 years ago. Over time, the notion of giving tokens particular values gained popularity. We are aware that metal was used as currency in Babylon before 2000 BCE or before the Common Era. Metals did not, however, exist as recognized coinage at this point. Around the 7th century BCE, the use of metallic coins would start to spread throughout the world. Around this period, it's known that China invented coinage. Archaeologists have discovered a currency minting site in Guangzhou, Henan Province. This was the first known minting site for uniform metal currency, which dates back to around 640 BCE. Around this period, coins started to appear in India as well. If we look at Asia Minor, it's thought that Alyattes of Lydia, the fourth king of the Mermnad dynasty in Lydia, issued an official coinage about 600 BCE. Lydia became one of the richest empires in the area thanks to the adoption of a common currency. When he mentions the Greek poet Xenophanes from the 6th century BCE, the ancient Greek historian Herodotus brings to mind this tale. How did this metal trading system get its start? We need to acknowledge that this most likely took place throughout the Copper and Bronze Ages. People gradually transitioned from a barter-based economy to a monetary one when they started to use metals more often. The growth of trade was another essential element in the adoption of metal currency. Now that people were exchanging honey, barley, feathers, and other goods, it was clear that money was needed. Then, there was the variance that was clearly present as a result of innovation. Early, less evolved human forms had persisted for far too long, but it wasn't until people began to live in urban civilizations and engage in cooperative endeavors that creativity and ingenuity began to flourish. Metals became widely used over time, both as building materials and as currency. People weren't afraid to employ metals in their cultures since they had intrinsic material worth. If foreign civilizations had no use for the money, the metal coins could still be sold. Metals like silver, copper, and gold could be used to produce the coins, and a skilled eye could easily determine their composition. Gold and silver coins were extremely prevalent in Europe over time and were used for numerous centuries. The proof is in the pudding. The terms money and silver are used interchangeably in various Eurasian languages. This method, like the preceding one, had advantages and disadvantages. Tricky people were skilled at altering the coins so they didn't contain the necessary quantity of metal. Clipping the edges or plating an ordinary substance with metal were standard ways. Another difficulty was the conventional market pricing differed by location. As a result, the exchange rate of gold against silver would range from area to region, depending on the import and export of other materials. The availability of any metal, like the basic law of supply and demand in contemporary economics, would have substantial market repercussions. Another challenge encountered with transporting currencies throughout the world was a lack of standards. The most significant development in Europe occurred during the Middle Ages, when coins transitioned from being a unit of weight to a unit of worth. The era of real currency originated in India and Asia Minor and spread to other parts of the world. In the 11th century CE, the Song dynasty was the first in world history to issue banknotes or true paper money, and the first Chinese government to establish a permanent standing navy. Representative money continued to appear in several regions of the world after its introduction in China. Imperial currencies may be seen on the Indian subcontinent as early as the 14th century. Rupiah, also known as the rupee in modern times, was introduced by Sher Shah Suri in the 16th century. We discovered that the medieval Islamic civilization introduced many current economic notions. Checks, transactional and savings accounts, exchange rates, bank loans, deposits, and the transfer of debt and credit may all be traced back to this point. Bills of exchange were also employed in Mediterranean commerce, particularly in Italy, and might be considered an older type of credit. Because carrying money was deemed risky, the behavior served to relieve the dread of being robbed. Until then, Europeans had used different symbolic forms as value storage. The English devised a new type of trade bill in the 12th century. Because paper originated in China and was scarce in the West, the British monarchs devised a system based on tally sticks. Credit and debit cards gained popularity a few decades later. Payment cards have been around since the late 20th century, but they were extensively embraced in the 21st. Technology has advanced at an alarming rate in recent years, and it'd be foolish to believe that business won't follow suit. Digital currencies and mobile payments are becoming more common, and services such as Google Pay and Apple Pay are based on this premise. Most transactions are now done online across the world. Another hidden revolution in e-commerce and banking has recently occurred. Cryptocurrency is a rapidly expanding phenomenon. Bitcoin, the first cryptocurrency, was proposed in 2008, but it took a long time to gain mainstream acceptance. Cryptocurrency is a type of digital cash and electronic currency that functions similarly to cash. Because of the sophisticated encryption that prohibits manipulation, these currencies may be used to purchase services and products that technology has seen a growth in. The primary innovative component of cryptocurrencies, however, isn't the money itself, but the underlying process of how records are preserved. This is where blockchain comes into play. Blockchain is a record-keeping system that differs from traditional databases in that it's completely decentralized. Decentralized blockchains are unchangeable. We've come a long way from trading a dozen chickens for a few construction materials to touching a device for digital transactions. For at least a few millennia, money has been an important component of human life. Most of us aren't selling animal skins for commodities anymore, but our requirements aren't all that different from those of our forefathers. However, the economic system structure has been turned on its head. Money will continue to change and evolve as long as it exists. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the history of money and debt. Please click the like and subscribe button below, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to update you on my latest video. Until next time, 再见.